had the privilege of visiting the CPU just before we went into the second set of lockdowns, and I was just blown away by the scale of the entity, and also the dedication of staff who've worked so hard to get it up and running, and also their creativity. It's a fantastic asset. It's really something that we should be immensely proud of in Tayside Contracts, because the hard work and creativity it took to get to where we got to with it, but also the future opportunities I think it will present for us and for our local councils.
Well, the project was driven by a few key factors. Obviously, the challenges that were within the constrained budgets of the local authorities, the shrinking budgets. There was the expansion of the catering service through the introduction of the early learning childcare for nursery education. And there was a need through that to increase our production capacity for the school estate. The recent introduction of universal free school meals for P1s to 3s had used up any spare capacity that we had at that time in the school estate. And to bring on the early learning and childcare provision on top of that was challenging for the school estate as it was, and therefore the CPU was seen as a solution to various problems at the time.
The CPU brings many benefits for Tayside Contracts. In terms of our environmental impact, it's greatly reduced by the production process at the CPU. There's reduced supply deliveries to a multitude of schools, it's single site, and as well, because we're using the most up-to-date equipment and production processes, it's very efficient and minimal impact on the environment.
So the CPU is set up to provide meals into the nursery sector within the school estate and the primary sector. On a daily basis, once the pupils are all back, there will be on average 3,000 nursery meals produced and dispatched per day from the CPU, and around 9,000 primary meals. So in total, circa 12,000 meals going into the primary and nursery school estate on a daily basis across Angus and Dundee from the central production unit.
It's easier managing one unit for safety reasons, etc. It certainly makes it easier. You get consistency as well.
The CPU has an adapted recipe kitchen which allows us to meet the needs of the growing number of pupils with special dietary needs, and it provides a contamination-free environment in which we can produce the meals, which gives us greater scope to provide a greater range for the pupils.
It can be quite challenging because the diets that children tend to have across Tayside can be quite different from one area to another. So we do have to try and be quite realistic when we're making the menus and try to, if there's something that we know can be quite popular that's maybe not the healthiest, we try to amend it and see if we can adapt it to be a healthier option.
It is a balancing act really to try and meet both the needs of the pupils and also to comply with the Scottish Government's nutritional requirements. Of course, we want to increase meal uptake as much as possible, and so we have to appeal to the pupils. We have to provide meals with which they're familiar and with which they enjoy, and also which are nutritious. So yes, it is challenging. However, the CPU allows us to develop recipes which do both.
We look for the best quality we can get. Tayside Contracts was the procurement department, and there's all background checks, quality control checks, so everything is traceability. We don't buy anything out with our own suppliers, so the checks can be done and we know the quality is there.
So we try to get as much feedback from as many people, so we do go to the children who are eating the food as well as the kitchen staff who are cooking it, and members of staff within schools who are seeing it in service, but we also try to consult with our clients to make sure that their needs are getting included in our menus, especially since it's covering the voting side.
When the food's been tested, we'll portion up into the containers, and then from there the food is then blast frozen, and that from portioning to blast freezer has to be done within 30 minutes. Within that 30 minutes it has to be in blast freezer, and once it's frozen it stays chilled, so that it's out for a minimum amount of time, and that's where the quality stays, because it's, once it's cooked it's frozen quite immediately in fact.
In developing the CPU, we put into the kitchen, specifically into the production suite and the holding areas, the most practical and efficient equipment that's available on the market at this time. So it's a very efficient, modern facility in its class.
We're developing our new business plan, and the vision for our business going forward is an expanding and high-performing shared service. We're proud of what we do and chosen for how we do it, and I think Tay Cuisine really allows us to fulfil that vision in a very significant way, to offer high-quality, low-cost, nutritious meals to our local councils, but also the opportunity for expansion into providing a meal service for perhaps other institutions locally within Tayside, and perhaps even further afield, perhaps even other councils, and to generate more income for the Tayside contracts, which in turn generates more income for our councils, is fantastic news. It's part of our commercial approach, part of our expanding approach, but also every pound that's invested in Tayside contracts and every pound that we make, we're helping protect local jobs and services, and I'm really excited by that.
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we delivered what I would describe to be an exceptional facility. I think what we were able to influence the design, the flow of the building and the spec of the equipment. I think we brought in the right expertise to support us in making sure that the outcome was the very best it could be. And I'm proud of the fact that through the CPU model, Tayside contracts have got the opportunity for further expansion. We have got capacity here to bring more meals out of this unit than it currently produces. So therefore, we could deliver economies of scale to our constituent councils through bringing on other external customers, and thereby using up any spare capacity we have. We currently operate Monday to Friday 9 to 5 essentially, but the scope is there to use the asset 24/7 essentially, and by doing so we could deliver efficiencies to our constituent councils.
Oh, it'd have to be a good old traditional mince.
I would have to say macaroni cheese. And I think it's a very popular in the school estate, and it's one of my favourite dishes, and we get lots of good feedback about our macaroni cheese since it's been coming through the CPU certainly.
My favourite is the veggie burger. It's the bean burger. Very tasty.
Oh, that's a difficult question because there's lots of great meals. I particularly like the veggie bites actually. They're really delicious, made with fresh vegetables and very nutritious, and they're really tasty.